G'day guys. So I'm going to talk about something today that I've been campaigning heavily over the last couple of years. In fact, from the beginning of this African Sudanese crime wave. In fact, I interviewed the first victim of it before the media even started following it. Now, it's actually probably the one issue that's pushed me most to run in Victoria, and it is the main reason why I'm running in November here in Victoria. Because I am sick of the spin. I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of the PC madness that stops us from being able to discuss and call a spade a spade. It is not racist to recognize reality. The fact is, we have a major Sudanese crime wave in Victoria. It's scary. It's real, it's dangerous, and it's holding the city, the state that I grew up in, hostage. People are literally scared to go out at night because of this African crime wave. Now, the left like to laugh about it, so what I want to do now quickly is I want to go through some of the stats that the Australian printed today, and I want to unpack the typical leftist argument when it comes to this. And we're seeing it more and more of it now, especially now that the Libs have finally come out and called it for what it is. Now the Greens are hitting back by basically claiming that the Libs are using the race card. Let's unpack some of the stats first. Aggravated burglary. Aggravated burglary, which means when a gang breaks into your house with your family and bashes your head in to steal your car, to steal some money in front of your kids, in front of your wife. That is aggravated burglary. A Sudanese immigrant is 26 times more likely to commit that offence than an Australian-born Victorian. 26 times. Aggravated robbery, which is basically someone bashing you and robbing you on the street, carjacking you. Again, often in front of your family, in front of your kids, often in broad daylight. A Sudanese immigrant is 57 times more likely to commit that offence than an Australian-born Victorian. 57. Serious assault, which is pretty much just bashing someone for the heck of it. 12 times more likely. A Sudanese immigrant is 12 times more likely. Well, not even more likely. He is represented on our crime stats 12 times more. They do commit 12 times more than an Australian-born Victorian. Riot and affray. Riot and affray is like what we saw in St Kilda Beach during the summer a number of times. Hundreds and hundreds of youths attacking people. Rioting, what we saw at Milo's event. 32 times more likely, or not 30, they are represented 32 times. So a Sudanese immigrant is represented 32 times more than an Australian-born Victorian. Those stats don't lie, they're facts. Facts don't care about feelings. Now, what the left will tell you is two things. They'll tell you firstly, well, crime overall is down in Victoria, so there is no crime wave. Well, that's rubbish. Crime overall is down. When you talk about petty crime, somebody stealing a bicycle here, little things nobody cares about. It's down. But if you put all that to the side, and we look at these crimes, the crimes that is holding our city hostage, the crimes that have every Victorian scared shitless, they're up by about 25%. I'm talking about the aggravated burglaries, so the home invasions, the carjackings, the serious assaults, the riot. They're up about 25%. And they're only up 25% because of the overrepresentation of the Sudanese immigrants. Hence, we have a Sudanese crime wave. Now, the other argument that the left loves to throw at people, and I've heard it on the radio a number of times from different politicians, is if you look at the overall numbers, if you look at the overall numbers and not the stats, well, there's a lot more Aussie-born Victorians committing offences than Sudanese-born immigrants, Sudanese immigrants. That's correct. But you've got to remember that the Sudanese community only represents about, I think it was 0.1, very small. There are a few thousand in Victoria. But they are overrepresented, in some cases 60 times, an Aussie-born Victorian. So yes, while they are small in numbers, they are highly represented on our crime stats. Way higher than any other minority. So you can't have it both ways. If you on the left, if your argument is that, well, overall, they're only a tiny minority committing these offences because they only represent such a tiny minority of our community, well, you need to be on board cutting immigration from such countries like Sudan. Because the only reason that argument can hold up is if they continue to be a tiny minority. Because the fact is, aggravated robbery, bashing and robbing people on the street and carjackings, if they made, let's say, 50% of our population, our crime stats will be up 5,000, 6,000. We will be an official shithole. But the left love to use arguments both ways. They like to say, well, they're just a tiny minority and that's why they don't affect us really by the crime stats. Ask any victim of these African crimes and I promise you they'll tell you something different. But at the same time, they want to keep bringing these people in. We need politicians with backbone. The stats are there. The facts are real. We have an African, a Sudanese crime wave in Victoria. No politician can give you spin to change it because it is real. And Victorians are living in fear. And in November, that is why I'm running. I am running because I am going to call a spade, like I've been doing the entire time. And Victorians are sick of being sugar-coated the truth. Because we live the reality every single day. People have changed the way they live in Victoria because of these criminals that we imported. We need to stop importing them. And the fact is, all these immigrants should be deported. They should lose their citizenship and thrown back to the shithole they come from. That's why I'm running. So I hope, guys, share the truth. Share the stats. The fact is, these stats can be looked up. They were printed today in the Australian. And there is a real Sudanese crime wave in Victoria. But I'm also going to put a link to my my campaign for anyone that wants to help me with the campaign because we are running up against the big boys. The problem is I'm one man here, part of the Australian Liberty Alliance who are supporting me in everything. And I'm willing to say it as it is. And when I get into Parliament, I am going to say it there in Parliament. We have an African crime wave in Victoria. This is what we need to do to fix it. But I'm up against Labor, who has all the union money, and I'm up against the Liberals, which these days has Chinese money. So every dollar counts. Anybody who can help me, I'm going to put a link at the end of this live in the description. Help us out. But share the truth, guys, either way. Because spreading the message, letting people know you can talk about the truth without being called a racist. I'm not a racist. Some of the people I love most in my life are African. It has nothing to do with the pigmentation of your skin. Nothing. I am colorblind. But when I see a problem, I will call it out. I don't care if you're black, red, green, yellow. If your community is being overrepresented, you should be on the front line too. Share the truth.